Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to delete blogs from your application, or more specifically from your database. So if you remember from our previous videos, we do have a delete button and it actually works. But the problem is it only deletes local states. So if I refresh the app, all of those to-dos come back because these are the ones that are stored in the database. So right now, we're going to actually use the fetch API to delete to-dos from our database. Now, the way we're going to do this is pretty simple. If you go back to the JSON server documentation, you can see that there is a method called delete, and you have to pass it the name of the resource / the ID of that specific entry. So how do we do this? Now, if you go back to our app, I'm going to delete all of this old state management stuff. Now I'm going to delete this. And one more thing, I'm also going to delete this old function because we don't need it anymore. And right now, what we actually need is the remove to-do function. So this function actually removes a to-do from our local state. It uses the filter method. Now, in order to change this to use our fetch API, it's pretty simple. We're not going to change a lot of the code, but what we're going to do is instead of use filter, we're going to call the fetch API. So how do we do this? So it's actually pretty simple. All we have to do is create a new fetch call. I'm going to pass it the link, which is going to be localhost 3000 / to-do / ID. And the second thing is going to be the object, which is going to contain the method, which is going to be delete. And this is pretty much it. This is all we need to actually delete something from JSON server, because all we need to know is the ID, and JSON server gets the ID and deletes it from the database. It doesn't need any other information. Now, I'm going to change this to an async function because fetch returns a promise, and I prefer using this syntax. So const result equals await fetch. And now the result constant is going to get the result of the fetch call. So after we delete the element, what we're going to do is actually refetch the new to-dos. So I've deleted the const result because we're not going to need that. And right now we're going to do another call. I'm going to delete this. And I'm going to create a const called new to-dos. It's going to be equal to fetch. And we're actually going to refetch the new to-dos. So this is obviously going to be a promise. So we need to use await. And right now, we also need to parse the information. So after we do that, I'm going to type new to-dos. And I'm going to have it equal to await new to-dos.json. So what this is going to do, so now that we have the new to-dos, don't forget that we actually need to convert them back to a JSON object. Now, after we get the new to-dos, we also need to convert them to a JavaScript object because we get them as JSON, and JSON is not the same as a JavaScript object. They may look similar, but they're completely different things. Now, I'm going to create a new constant, and I'm going to call it parsed new to-dos because we're going to parse those into a JavaScript object. And we're going to call the JSON method on the new to-dos. And since this also returns a promise, we're going to use the await. We're going to use the await syntax. So after we get the new to-dos and after we parse them, we're going to set them as our new state. And now I'm going to delete this function because we don't need it anymore. And if we go back to our app and refresh, so you can see everything's working. So I'm going to go back and create a to-do. So this works. It's going to navigate back and we can see the to-do. Now, if we try to delete a to-do, I'm going to open the network tab. I'm going to press delete on this new one. You can see that the call is done. It sends a delete method to this link and it's successful since it's 200 of type OK. And as you can see, once this finishes, we refetch the new to-dos. And after we get those, we call the set to-dos function exported by this custom hook, and we actually update the to-dos. So what we've just implemented is a quick way to delete a to-do and update the local state with the new stuff. Now I will delete these from the code just because we don't use them anymore. So I'm gonna remove this, and just these two buttons since we don't need them anymore. So right now our app is pretty simple. We can create a to-do. So new to-do. After it's created, we navigate back and it's actually added to the database since everything that you see in this list is actually inside of our database. And as usual, you can always check the content in this file. Now see you in my next video.